As we know, DeAndre Hopkins was traded from Houston to Arizona during this offseason, and the new Cardinals star believes he's ready for the next step. Yesterday on ESPN's Jalen and Jacoby, Hopkins said, quote, "I definitely think I'm the best wide receiver. I know I'm the best. I love Michael Thomas, but he knows if I had Drew Brees my whole career, what these numbers would be," end quote. Inbounds or out of bounds, BT, Hopkins will be even better in Arizona with Kyler Murray than he was in Houston.
I love how direct he is. I love, how he references Drew Brees and the relationship that Michael Thomas has had with him. I'm going to disagree, though. I'm going to say out of bounds because I don't really think there's a lot more room for him to go up. This is not me knocking DeAndre Hopkins. Actually, it's the opposite. It's me acknowledging that I think he's one of the best in the game. And, let me take you a little journey. Last 4 years, all right? So to be better, you need to get the football a lot more, right? That's pretty much a common thought, right? Because his production is tremendous. So the only way he can be a better individual player is to get the football more. Well, in 2019, he was 5th in targets, and he missed a game, so he would have been higher than that. In 2018, he was 5th in targets, getting the football a lot. In 2017, he was number 1 in targets. In 2015, he was 3rd in targets. So it's not as if he's just not getting the football. The Texans, they commit to the run, but they're not overly dependent on the run. The numbers bear that out. Go check it out. And, this year going over to the Cardinals with Fitzpatrick, still going to get some balls, but also Christian Kirk, who is going into his 3rd year, who we had on the show a couple of months back. I really like this kid. His first year was pretty decent with a bad quarterback situation. His second year was a lot better, almost 800 yards, 6 or 7 touchdowns. He's got a penchant for making big plays. So I'm going to say out of bounds, DeAndre Hopkins, if I'm starting a team tomorrow and I'm looking for one wide receiver, I'm splitting hairs between Hopkins and Michael Thomas. So he's already right there. My answer is out of bounds, pertaining to what he addressed with this season coming up.
All right, BT. Damian Lillard has made some noise lately. First saying he wouldn't return this season if there's no path to the playoffs, and now he's weighing in on the MVP debate. The 5-time All-Star told ESPN, quote, "This season, I think it's LeBron. For him to be at the age he's at, the pressure they've put on him every year, every little thing he does, I think he's the MVP," end quote.
Okay.
Inbounds or out of bounds, the shortening of the regular season does hurt LeBron's chances to win the MVP over Giannis.
The answer is inbounds, but I've got a little issue with, how Damian Lillard positions this. I mean, I don't know why we need to incorporate pressure. That has nothing to do with the award or age. I mean, you can win the award when you're 22. You can win it when you're 32, as players have. So I understand. I mean, I get what he's saying, but being very literal and specific to the winning of the award, I think it should be inconsequential. Listen, I'm sorry. He's not going to win it. He's just not. Now, he needed the final 20-ish games, whatever it equated to, something like that, to really have a sprint and really change the energy. Because so much of the energy early was Giannis. And then there was this little run the Lakers went on, and we said, well, man, LeBron, he's starting to make a little noise. But everything was prefaced with, but he's going to need to finish this to finish the race and jump in front of Giannis. So right now it's Giannis. Tomorrow it's Giannis. Next week it's Giannis. LeBron is not winning the award no matter what. But if there were, remaining games to maybe swell public opinion, he would have had a better chance and maybe, still probably not, but maybe wrestled it away. Giannis wins this thing.
All right, as we know, BT, baseball is cutting thousands of minor league players.
Ugh, I hate this.
Sad. Absolutely. One player cut was Mets pitcher Andrew Church, who absolutely unleashed on Twitter and in part targeted Tim Tebow, saying, quote, "They made a mockery of our team by putting a celebrity on it to sell more tickets. I saw players lose their jobs because of it. We weren't playing to win. We were playing to make everyone else money," end quote. Inbounds or out of bounds, Tim Tebow bringing in more fans, attention, and revenue to the team is more important than one player's roster spot.
The answer is inbounds, and I think that's going to surprise a lot of people who know me as a real baseball guy, like a real kind of a purist still somewhat, but especially in the minor leagues, I embrace that purist mentality. But I say inbounds for this reason, because there was not a player on that roster, all right, who really projected out to be a major league player that had his career sabotaged due to the presence of Tim Tebow. Stop. It's a lazy, unfounded argument. It's nonsensical, really. I mean, yeah, it's about making money. Of course it is. It's about developing the prime assets in your system. I'm quite sure, the top, 8, 9, 10 players, prospects in the Mets system were not adversely affected by his position. By his, introduction into the system. The Mets cut, what, you say 100? I know baseball's 1,000, but Mets were 100, right? Okay. So how many, I would like to know, let's extrapolate this out. Of the 100, how many were outfielders? I'm sure. So right away, it's slashed, I'm going to guess, 20-something outfielders. You're going to get a lot of pitchers. Think about this. There's the pitchers on a staff, 11, 12, or 13, versus the amount of outfielders on a roster, 5, maybe 6, maybe a swing guy. It's lazy. It's Tebow hate. It's Met hate because the Mets are historically cheap. I get that. Trust me, I know that well. But Tim Tebow did not block somebody's path either to elevate from double to triple or single to double or from triple to the major leagues. Not factual, dumb argument.
All right, BT, a little college football here.
Nice.
2 years ago, JT Daniels was the third-ranked QB recruit behind likely future top 5 picks Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields. Mm-hmm. However, after a promising freshman year with USC, Daniels tore his ACL last year and wasn't a lock to start in 2020 after Kendon Slovis had a strong season for the Trojans. Now Daniels has announced he's transferring to Georgia and will likely have to sit out a year.
Quarterback U. Georgia's getting a lot of quarterbacks these last couple of years.
How about that?
Yeah.
Turning into a destination.
It is.
All right, BT, inbounds or out of bounds? Daniels is making a mistake leaving USC for Georgia.
Out of bounds. Absolutely out of bounds. First of all, now some will say, well, here's another example of a young man just not willing to compete. Yeah. You don't know the ins and outs. You don't know if he's not enthralled with the direction of the offense, the coaching staff. I mean, he's got people around him. I don't know if it's not necessarily, a professional staff, but he's got advisors. And, sometimes a school is just not the place for you. Even if everything lined up from a football point of view, if the young man or young woman in any sport says, I want to go somewhere else, how are we to say, or who are we to say that it's not right? So the answer is out of bounds. Go to a better conference. Pac-12 is not very good. It's just not. Go to a better conference to a school with a much more recent track record of success and start over. I mean, Joe Burrow transferred. He just went first overall. The stigma of players transferring, again, the recent snapshot, that too is largely unfounded. It's inaccurate. So go where you feel comfortable and ball, and just go get yours. You have a finite window to be a pro athlete. You have an even more finite window to be a college athlete. Go get what makes you happy.
Tune in next time for another edition of Inbounds or Out of Bounds with Tiki and Tierney.